Hello everyone. Last week we created a parametric bar scale and a parametric north arrow, and this week we probably need to look at how can we put that onto a menu. There are several ways we can go about doing that, but looking at this, we got mycells.cell. So let's see if we can't migrate this into something we can deliver to other users in my work group. So I'm going to hit File and close out of that for now. And I'm just going to shrink out of there. And I'm just going to go into my models folder. What did we do? Let's see, program files, and someplace program data. Let's see, we moved this thing to the D drive, didn't we? So someplace over here, here's my Aecws folder, so we're sitting on the network, and under my workspaces, work sets, I had a cell library, right? So plan sets, standards, cell. Nope. Where did I hide that at? Let's go back in there and find it. So if I hover over this file, it's in AEC template English, plan sets, supposed to be right there, right? Let's take another look at this. I was hoping I could open folder location in Explorer. There we go. So where did I hide that? That's different. Okay, so D, AEC, blah, blah, blah. What's the difference in these two work sets? AEC English, workspaces, work sets, template, plan 6, template English, plan sets, O6 standard cell. Why is that telling me the folder's empty and that's telling me there's something in it? Well, it's definitely there. Okay, so let's look at this. If I wanted to migrate this cell library to a location in the workspace, no, cancel, don't do that. I am going to come over here to configuration sets and look inside of configuration sets. There's an AEC configuration set, there's an open buildings and an open roads configuration set, and I'm going to create a new folder here called my configuration set. Or just going to call it config set, so that way I don't have to type so much. Then I'm going to come into my workspace area under AEC English Workspace. And you see how this says if exists include AEC English? Well, I'm going to do the same thing, but I am going to add a few lines right after this, and I'm going to copy these lines here. I don't need the $ ones, so I'm just going, or the hashtag ones, because they're commented out. And what I really want to do is change this to say what is in here. So if I come into configuration sets, my config set is the folder name, so I'm going to replace AEC in my copied version to my config set, and then I'm just going to say my config set.cfg. So I just want to see if there's a CFG in here and copy it. So then what I could do is copy the English one and add whatever's in here, or I can build my own custom one. Because I am a little bit more less is more type of person, what I'm going to do in my configuration set is I am going to come into here and just create a file, new text document, call it my config set, and then put a .cfg at the end. This is going to be a blank file. I'm going to copy some of this information here. So this config process, well, I'm going to add that piece of text into my configuration set too. So they kind of just put in here some information, AEC workspace config. I'm going to put in my config. And what this variable does is just kind of gives you an indication of what order things are being loaded in. So when you go to your Configuration Explorer, you can more easily figure out where things are added. Then the other thing I'm going to do, I'm not going to say, wait, cancel. I do want to save this AEC English Workspace config because it's adding my workspace, or my works configuration set. Then the next thing I want to do, I'm just going to slide that to the side there a little bit. I'm going to create a new folder. Looking at some of the folders that are in here, they call it cell, so I'm going to use the same terminology, try to keep them consistent, and create a new folder, call it cell. And then I am going to look and see what they put in here. So they're saying AEC standards, and they're setting that variable someplace. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say my config set, and I'm going to make this a variable. So I'm going to put under here underscore to make it hidden. Hit my caps lock, my config set, and I'm going to set that equal to, there's a common root, so if I come in here to AEC English, and I see this USTN configuration set, so they got an AEC root is equal to that location. So I'm going to steal a majority of this, and I'm going to change my variable just slightly. So I'm going to say, I'm just going to paste it in here after so I can see exactly what I want to do here. I'm going to put root at the end of mine. And then I'm going to take this piece of information and paste it there. And then I'm going to add in configuration sets. So I know that configuration sets is pointing to this folder here, but I need to get it to point to my folder here. So I'm going to grab the name of my folder, my config sets, paste it in after config sets operations. And then whenever you set a folder location in the Bentley software, you always want to finish it up with a /. So what that did was it gave me a nice place to start my configuration variables from this point on. Then I need to add a cell folder. So there are a couple variables that Bentley uses. There's underscore, or like MS underscore cell. I think it's cell or cells. I'm going to have to look at the variable again a little bit. So if I come back in here and look at this common one, I want this one here. I want ms cell and I want ms cell list. So come back over here, set ms cell. Whoop, didn't I copy that? Copy this, paste it in here, and then I also want mscell list. These two variables. One is a list of locations that you look for cells, and the other one is a list of cell libraries. So when you pull down the cell selector folder list, you can see the whole list of all the cell libraries that are easy to pick from. So what am I going to use for the variable? I'm going to use my config set root. So I'm going to say, hey, use that variable by saying $ open parenthesis. And the other thing is I don't want this to be equals because I want to add it to the list. I don't want it to overwrite the list. So I'm going to prepend my variable or my cells to the list so that way it searches those first. And then I'm going to close the parenthesis. I'm going to put that in both of these. And then the next thing I need to do is figure out what folder I put that stuff, or I'm going to put that stuff in. So I come back over here to my config sets, and I'm going to put it in a cell folder. So I put that in at the end here. And the next thing I want it to do is one of these two has a star.cell at the end and the other is just a folder. So it looks like the list is the one that I want to have the star folder. So I want this to be star.cel. And I'm going to put lowercase for the file extension. Now whatever cell library I drop in this folder, it should pick up in the list and search for the cells inside of that. So that's a good starting point for what I want to do to add this stuff. So let's take my cell library, which was down here, and let's cut it out of this location and paste it up into my config set cells and paste. Oh, can't do it because it's open. So I'm going to close out of Microstation and try that again. Come over here to cells, cut, and paste. There we go. Now my cells has been moved up to the cell folder in my configuration set. Let's see how that works. So if I make sure my file is saved, I can close out of this one, and I'm going to start Microstation, and let's see if my cell libraries are now available to me. So I'm going to start my test drawing. And if I come in here, let's start a new sheet so we don't have those items in there. Let's do this. Let's create a whole new file. And I'm not creating a new cell library, so I'm going to pick me a new file to start my drawings with. How about this? AEC Design Seed Vertical 3D and test MS again. So I'm going to replace it. Great. I'm opening that file. I gotta close it if I'm gonna overwrite it and start a new one. So let's try this again. New file. Design seed vertical. Create a new file. Overwrite that old one. Let's replace it. Now we're going to come in here to my cells. I'm going to hit place active cell. I don't have an active cell. If I pull down this file list, it should be right here. Configuration sets, my config set cell, my cells.cell. Then I got north arrow and parametric bar scales. So if I want to place my north arrow, grab it, and I can place it. So that's working well. The name of this other one, parametric bar scales. So now the other thing what I can do is trying is I should be able to detach this file and come into my key in browser, which is this button, and set my active cell as parametric bar scales. Boom. So all I have to do now is key in active cell as parametric bar scales, and it'll automatically set that one as the active cell. The problem with setting that as the active cell is that we're in this place active cell, but place active cell is, this is a parametric cell, but I'm not getting the parametric values. What I found is if I'm in this situation, what I can always do is hit this true scale button, turn it on, or turn it off, and it changes. So, and where's my variations? I'm not seeing those. Interesting. Alright, looks like I got to do a little bit more work on that. So let's come back over here. Attach the cell library. Grab my parametric bar scales. And it's still not getting me variations. So there's some work I'm going to have to do there to figure out why it's not showing me all the variations. What about this one? Did I get variations here? Yes, I got my variations on that one. But I'm not getting my variations on this one. Now I'm getting my variations. So apparently it didn't pick up the first time I went to place it. I'll have to look into that. That's kind of odd. But now you see it's placing. I wonder if it's because I didn't key it in with the exact same letters. Parametric bar scales. Maybe it's case sensitive. I'll look into that later. But anyway, that's a quick way to add those cells and make them available to you very easily.